Chapter 3. The Architecture of Escape, Building the Sovereign Blueprint. A structural engineer does not approach a plot of land with a vague desire to build something impressive. They do not arrive at the construction site, throw bricks into a random pile, and pray they somehow assemble into a cathedral. Yet this is exactly how the average person approaches their financial existence. They spend 40 years throwing random hours of labor at a job, hoping that the pile of hours will magically organize itself into wealth, freedom, and peace of mind. It will not. The laws of physics do not permit structure to arise from chaos. Wealth is not an accident of effort. It is an architectural decision. If you ask a drifting man what he wants out of his life, he will give you a foggy, undefined answer. He will tell you he wants more money, financial freedom, or to be comfortable. But the marketplace does not understand more. The modern economy is a cold, clinical machine governed by mathematical certainty. It does not respond to ambiguous desires. It only answers to quantified demands. If you do not know exactly where you are going, you have already agreed to go wherever the current carries you. To build your blueprint of escape, we must begin with your sovereignty number. This is not a fantasy figure. This is not $100 million, a super yacht, or a private island. Those are distractions engineered to keep you dreaming instead of planning. Your sovereignty number is the exact, unyielding mathematical amount of monthly cash flow required to cover your basic overhead, clear your debts, and buy back your Monday mornings. It is the cost of your baseline freedom.
For some, that number is $3,000 a month. For others, it is $8,000. Whatever it is, you must calculate it down to the individual dollar, and you must attach it to a specific, unbending deadline. Write it down. If the number exists only in your head, it is a vapor. If it is written on paper, it is a target. The human mind is a heat-seeking missile. It cannot lock onto a target that is hidden in the fog of ambiguity. When you define your exact number, you program your internal navigation system. You force your brain to filter out the endless digital noise and lock on to the specific actions required to hit the mark. But a blueprint is not complete with just a destination. The marketplace requires an exchange. The universe is governed by the law of conservation of energy, and the economy is governed by the law of equal exchange. You cannot demand $10,000 a month from the world while offering minimum wage utility in return. The market does not pay for your needs, your intentions, or your fatigue. It pays exclusively for value rendered. If you want to command premium capital, you must architect premium utility. This means you must define the exact, high-level skills you will develop and the specific, complex problems you will solve. Sovereignty is not a lottery ticket. It is a clinical transaction. If you are currently trading generic, easily replaceable labor for a subsistence ration, your escape requires that you begin building specialized knowledge. You must decide, today, what your utility will be. Will you master a complex trade? Will you write software that automates a painful business process? Will you organize systems that solve distribution problems? You must choose your weapon. You must define the value you will trade for your freedom. Now, we must address a dangerous lie of modern self-help. The advice to burn your boats, quit your job, and jump into the unknown. For the vast majority of human beings, this is not bravery. It is structural suicide. If you jump from a moving ship without a lifeboat, you do not learn to fly on the way down. You simply drown in the cold water of panic. Panic is the enemy of strategy. When you cannot pay your rent, your brain enters survival mode, and you will make desperate, short-sighted decisions that force you right back into the drift. Instead, we use the bridge strategy. You do not destroy your current job. You reframe it. Your day job is no longer your cage. It is the angel investor for your future sovereignty. It pays your rent, buys your food, and funds your overhead while you work in the dark to build your lifeboat. You work your 9 to 5 to survive. You work your 6 to 10 to build your freedom. This is where the real price of sovereignty is paid. It is built in the exhausted, quiet margins of your day, in the early morning hours before the world wakes, and in the quiet evenings after the rest of the house has gone to sleep. It is the calculated, deliberate transition from a full-time consumer to a part-time architect. Look at the blank sheet of paper in your hand. Beneath the audit columns you created in Chapter 2, you are now going to write 3 specific declarations. First, I will acquire monthly sovereignty of your number by your date. Second, in exchange for this sovereignty, I will render the following high-level utility: the specific skill you will build, or the problem you will solve. Third, I will guard the daily block off, for example, 5 a.m. to 7 a.m., a sacred space to construct this bridge. Do not read past this section until you have written these lines. You now possess the ledger of your past and the blueprint of your future. You know what it costs to stay in the drift, and you know the exact dimensions of what it takes to leave. But a blueprint resting on a table is just ink on paper. It cannot protect you from the wind. It cannot keep out the rain. To turn the drawing into a fortress, you must step onto the site. You must pick up the tools, and you must welcome the heat of the work. In the next chapter, we will examine the physical reality of this transition. We will look at the anvil, the hammer, and the non-negotiable price tag of sovereignty.